What is going on, guys, and welcome. In this video we're going to create a very basic navbar that has a very basic one drop down menu, and you can see that it's going to be located on the top, and it also we're going to have this little hover effect that as we're hovering over our links you can see that we're going to have a 2-pixel solid black border. So let's fire up our text editors and let's get to work. So how do we create a drop down menu within a navbar? So as always, we're going to start within our HTML skeleton. So over here, I'm just going to create a nav tags over here like this. And within the nav tags, we're obviously going to place a unordered list. And over here within unordered list, we're going to say list items. And we would want a link over here also to have a href attribute, to have a hashtag. And after that, we're going to create a, let's say, a name home, right? And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this like, I don't know, 4 times again. And we're going to say about. And over here, we're going to say a survey. And over here, we're going to write a, I don't know, something like drop down, right? This is going to be our drop down menu. Now, what we need to do is if we want to create a drop down within this, let's say, drop down list, we need to go within this list item over here, the one that we want to create a drop down menu. And over here, we need to create another unordered list within a list items, right? So here it's going to be list item. Here we're going to create another link over here. We're going to say href over here like this, and it's going to have a hashtag as a value of href. And over here, again, we're going to write a, let's say in this case, I'm just going to say this is going to be link 1. And I'm just going to copy this like, I don't know, 4 times, right? So now you can see what's happening. So now let's go ahead and actually style this navbar and this drop down menu. So over here, I'm going to create a style tags. And within the style tags, the first thing that I would want to do is actually target all the elements over here. And I want to say that I would want them to have a margin 0 and a padding 0. So it's much more easier for us to work with, right? And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select all the unordered lists. And I would want to say that I would want them to list style type to be none, right? So this is going to be pretty easy. I'm just selecting all the unordered lists. Now we need to keep in mind that we have 2 types of unordered lists over here, right? We have the ones that are direct children of the navigation over here, and we have the descendants. And there's a huge difference between 2 of them, right? So first, let's select the list items over here, so they would be displayed in line, right? And the way I would write over here, I would say that nav ul li over here, and I would want them to be display and display inline block. So this is going to be our inline block. Now you can see how all my list items are actually displayed in line, right? The problem is with this last one that you can see that it's pushing all the way up, right? So the way I would target that one, I would actually say nav, and then I would want to select ul, li, and over here ul. And I would want to say that I would want a position, absolute, and then I would say the coordinates pretty much. And I would say that this would be 100% over here, and left it would be 0. Now, there's a couple of things happening. First of all, you can see that it moved away all the way to the bottom, right? And the reason for that is that we selected position absolute, right? So over here, if we would write for list item to be position relative, you can see how it moved all the way to the top, because right now, actually list items, these ones, right, are actually holding this unordered list accountable. Now we also need to remember that we're actually selecting this unordered list, right? I'm not selecting all the lists. I don't want all the lists to be absolute to the top. I just want this one, right? Because what I want to do is actually, as I'm going to be hovering over this list items, I want it to be displayed, this unordered list. So here, I'm going to say display, and I'm going to say none, so you can see how it disappeared. However, if I create over here a nav, ul, li, hover, nav, ul, li, and over here, I'm just going to write hover. And I could say that I would want this child over here, this ul, over here like this. I would want it to be display, and I'm going to write display block. So now you can see what's going to happen. That's as I'm hovering, you can see what's happening, right? They're actually displaying right away. Now we haven't done any kind of fancy work. We just pretty much did the backbones for everything. So now obviously we can go ahead and we can just give it a little bit more nicer style, right? So what I'm gonna do again, I'm just gonna select specific UL. In this case is gonna be again the child of a nav. So again, we're just styling this one. We're not gonna be styling this one, we're gonna be styling the top one, right? So what I would say is that I would want to have a width of, let's say, 100%. Then I would want a height to be like 60 pixels. Then I would want a line height to be 60 pixels. Then I would want a background color to be like, I don't know, dark gray. Then I would probably want a text align center. And that's pretty much, I think, is going to be it for now for whatever we're doing, right? So we're just going to make a little bit more space. And let's add whatever we have to the list items, right? So now we're going to target actual list items. And what we want to do is we want to say that list items should be, let's say width should be like 100 pixels, something like this. And again, I think that's going to be pretty much it for the top list items. So let's move along and actually select a anchors within a list item. So here we're going to write UL, LI, and over here we're going to say A, and we're going to say that we want them to be display block over here, display block, and we would want them to have text decoration none, and over here we want let's say color, and we would want the color to be chocolate, right? We're going to say that this is going to be like chocolate, somewhere something like this. And now the last thing what we can do is actually we can change it around and we can select all the anchors. So all the anchors are affected. So this is the case where we would want to select not just the anchors that are actually on the top, but we want to select all the anchors. So you can see what's happening, right? And now let's go ahead and actually work with this list item, right? So the first thing we want to do is actually also add a background color. And we want to add the same background color, dark gray. And let's check it out what we have over here. So you can see the problem is that it's so small, right? And the way we fix that, actually we say width, and we say the width to be 100%. So we go back and you can see that now the width is actually exactly 100%. And the 100% of whatever the list item over here we have, right? Now, after that, what we want to do is actually go ahead and actually change some properties as we're hovering over our anchors over here, our links. So the way I would do that, I would write nav, ul, li, a, and here I would say hover. And what I would want to do is just actually pretty much create a little border. So I'm going to say a border to be 2 pixels solid black, something like this. So let's go ahead and check it out. So now you can see what's happening. As I'm hovering over them, you can see that I have these little borders, right? So this is how we can actually create a very simple drop-down menu that has a little hovering effect over them, and pretty much those are the basics.